Hey, look at that. I'm back again. um, you notice how every time I do one of these, my setup has changed ever so slightly. Yeah, I'm in the back corner of where I have the studio set up now at my mom's. I haven't finished like feng shuiing everything yet, clearly because there's a ironing board here and a half-drank bottle of Powerade and speakers and my empty box for my colonoscopy prep. Yeah, it's what I want to talk. You can't. I don't know if you, yeah, I got the. Literally had it done today. I got home around 4:30, something like that. What a day it's been. In the first vlog I did, I talked about, um, how I knew this was coming up, and after the diverticulitis thing, and I was scared and freaked out and all that. So today was that colonoscopy and endoscopy. Did both. And I'm still just feeling weird, obviously because of what happened, but just in general. Because I didn't really. People think like, oh, well, you've experienced that. It should feel like, well, I didn't really experience it. For those who don't know, have never had one done. I was in a hospital gown and laying in a bed and all that, and they, put the mask on me and were giving me some drugs, and they didn't even ask me to count. They were just talking to me. And I was like, man, I feel a little tingly. I wonder if that's and then I don't remember anything after that. I don't remember shutting my eyes. I don't remember them telling me to count or anything. Literally, it was like just mid-thought, like, man, I'm starting to feel kind of tingly. I wonder if this is. And then the next thing I knew, my mother was shaking me awake back in my recovery area. So, yeah, so I didn't really experience it. I have no recollection whatsoever. It was like somebody turned a switch off and then back on again. It was weird. As far as the results and all that go, I'm still processing it a little bit. So I don't have all my results yet. They did some biopsies and stuff. I won't get those results back for another week. But as far as like what I do know, and this might get a little TMI, so tough. But he says he's like, you definitely have like really bad acid reflux, and I was like, I've never had like I've had at times in my life had that thing where like you eat something that's just like too acidic, and you kind of, or you just eat too much and you get that kind of that irk, is what my old roommate used to call it, the irk. But and I know that like I had gone to them at the end of last year, because I was having some dry heaving problems, but which I haven't had those in months, and I think those were stress related. But regardless, he was just like, "Yeah, you've got it." And I was like, "I've never felt." He's like, "A lot of people have it and don't experience any symptoms." I'm like, "Well, then how do you, what? Huh?" It didn't make a whole lot of sense. That was from the endoscopy. As far as the colonoscopy goes, he's like, "Yeah, we found." He's like, "Your diverticulitis is definitely all cleared up, but he said, I have severe diverticulosis, which is basically the thing that can turn into diverticulitis if it's basically all the pockets that develop in your colon. I have a shitload." He was honestly he was like, "You're 35. He's like, for you to have diverticulitis at this age is already weird. The diverticulitis being as severe it is, he's like, obviously that means you've had some unhealthy eating habits that you need to clear up." So, which I've been having to do regardless. So obviously I'm just gonna have to keep that train going. I don't have to be as like gatekeepy with it, like I can actually have red meat again, just not nearly as much. And yes, like in retrospect, yeah, I did not have the best diet, as evident by the fact that at my heaviest I weighed 410 pounds and was eating fast food once a day. Um, so yeah, a lot of life changes need to be made. The thing that's still leaving me kind of, I don't know if in a fog is the right word, but he found a whole bunch of polyps in there, and he removed them all. And he said they weren't cancerous; they were benign. They were just huge. They were very big. And they sent them off. That's what they sent off for the biopsy and all that. And I'll get the results back in a week. He said it's like 7 days tops. But it was the fact that he said they weren't cancerous. But in 2 or 3 years, it could have been a lot worse. And it's something I'm trying to come to grips with, which is the fact that, like, oh, wow, diverticulitis may have inadvertently saved my life. He and my mom, because my mom was in the room when he was giving me this info, he and my mom both said, no offense, but thank God you got diverticulitis, because, that's one of those things. It's not really a lot of warning signs until it's too late. And I don't know. I'm having a very hard time reckoning with that. It's like suddenly, out of nowhere, I was confronted with my own mortality. Like, dude, you were this close. You're not 100% out of the woods yet either, but you were this close. Because, yeah, why would I get a colonoscopy in the next 2 years unless I had to for some reason? And I think I'm just, for those who don't know, I have lost a lot of family, friends, and loved ones to various forms of cancer. My father passed away from leukemia. My grandfather just died this past summer from stomach cancer. I've lost friends to, colon cancer, skin cancer, all kinds of things. That's why every year on my birthday on Facebook and Instagram, I'm always collecting for either the LLS, which is the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, the American Cancer Society. We are currently working on getting an affiliate partnership with Stand Up to Cancer for the Three Mics podcast. But to have that word, as I like to call the actual C word, thrown at me from a medical professional, it's something you always like, oh, that's going to happen to someone else, not going to happen to me. But it happened to me. And like I said, I'm still having a hard time, I think, reckoning with that. Because, like I said, I was suddenly faced with the concept of my own mortality. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a daredevil. It's not like I never think about my mortality. I am the biggest coward on the face of the earth. There is nothing that I think about more than avoiding dying as much as possible. It just suddenly became very real all at once. And I don't know. I'm having a hard time reckoning with that, I guess. Especially like also having to reckon with everything else I'm gonna have to, like, it's like I said, I was probably never gonna go back to eating the way I was to begin with, because I mean the results have spoken for themselves. But I was already taking this as the wake up call that it clearly is. But that's like finding out. That's like finding out you missed your flight on September 11th, 2001. Like, it's like, oh, this could have been so much worse. And there's nothing I could have done to prevent. There's not, I won't say nothing I could have prevented, but it's like, and there's no way I would have been able to know this was going to happen until it was too late. And that is a absolutely ridiculous comparison, comparing my own colonoscopy results with a massive terrorist attack. But that's just how my brain works, is I take everything to extremes. And I think maybe that's why I'm having a hard time with this. Also, the fact that I've been off my meds for a couple days because of the colonoscopy prep. Might need to. I was going to wait and take them in the morning. I might take them the night before I go to bed. I don't know. I just I don't meet with my therapist again until March, and I'm half tempted to see if he can book me in for an extra session so I can be like, hey man, I need to work through this. That's, I know cancer is a dirty word in pretty much most everyday life, but it's especially a dirty word in my family, in my house. Yeah. It's part of the reason why I think I talked about this in my first vlog, but like when I first had the diverticulitis happen and I was in the emergency room with my mom, and I had a complete panic attack breakdown in my hospital bed, and a lot of that was because my dad went to the hospital around that time and didn't come home. And so, and I already get uncomfortable in doctor's offices and hospitals to begin with, but when it's you, it's extra scary. So yeah, I mean, I got a lot of good news. Hey, we know what the problem is. Hey, this problem you were having has been cleared up, and hey, we know what to do going forward to make sure to significantly lower the chances of this happening again. Obviously, with diverticulitis, because we know so little about it, it can obviously happen again for God knows what fucking reason. But now it's like, okay, well, guess it's time to make some long overdue personal lifestyle changes as far as my diet and exercise are concerned. It also, I think a lot of it is also just an amount of shame that I'm feeling, because most of this could have been avoided if I had just I think about all the times in the past that I, committed to healthier lifestyle and kept with it until I didn't. And it's like, man, if I had kept with it that time, or kept with it that time, or just not been such a fucking gross lump on a log, all of this could have been avoided. Or not. Who the fuck knows? Honestly, who the hell knows? But there is that level of, again, this was a wake-up call, and there's that level of shame that comes with that of like, shouldn't have needed a wake-up call though, Mike. You should have just taken better care of yourself, and I didn't. So, I don't know. Like I said, it's still so much to process, and again, having that, like, dodged a cancer bullet thing thrown at me like that really shook me. Like, I still just, I don't know how to process that. Diverticulitis may have saved my life. That's a lot to reckon with. What's sad is my first thought when I got home was, how can I work this into my set? How can I take what happened and work it into my comedy set? And I mean, I am gonna try. There was definitely some funny things, some things that are definitely jokeable that happened today. It's just a matter of figuring out how I'm gonna do it. I wasn't planning on going to the open mic, any open mics this week. I need to, because next week is the World Record Festival. But yeah, I I don't know. I honestly, I don't know how to feel right now. I don't know what to think right now, other than just, all right, well, we're over this hump. Why does it feel like, and I should be feeling a sense of relief of like, okay, cool, I'm through this, it's over with, I can start not necessarily getting back to normal, but I can start living my life again. And yet for some reason it feels like I got hit with a cliffhanger on this story. Like it feels like when a show gets canceled halfway through a season, or it gets canceled at the end of a first season and they very clearly thought they were going to get a second season, so there's this big cliffhanger that never gets resolved. That's kind of what it feels like for me right now. It's like, cool, I ended this chapter of the story. I would very much like to know what's coming next, though, and I feel like I'm never going to get that answer. And I'm a kind of person, I don't like feeling out of control. I don't like feeling like I'm not in control of my life. And things with the house are almost done. I got like a week left on that, and then that chapter will be done. Like the stuff with the house, closing date's the 16th. The stuff with the house is a chapter of my life that is gonna end. It's going to just be done, and that's gonna live in the past. I never have to worry about it again. So that's great. It's gonna help with the financial problems. That's great. None of that means shit if I'm not alive to enjoy it, though. And I'd like to be alive as long as possible.